The Los Angeles Lakers just made a move that raised a lot of eyebrows around the league. They waived Jordan Goodwin. And while that might seem like a small shakeup on the surface, it actually points to something much bigger happening behind the scenes. Most people looking at this move are connecting the dots and thinking this is all about freeing up space to bring in Marcus Smart. And honestly, that's probably exactly what it is. But even if that's the main reason, it leaves one question hanging in the air: what are the Lakers going to do with that now open roster spot? Historically, the Lakers are no strangers to starting the season with just 14 players. They tend to play the long game. Rather than rushing to fill the 15th spot, they wait, see how the season shapes up, evaluate who's available in the buyout market after the trade deadline, and then make a move, whether that's bringing in a veteran, a defensive specialist, or just someone who fits what they need at the time. They did exactly that a few seasons ago with Tristan Thompson, who literally joined the team a day before the playoffs. The deal was minimal, maybe $100,000 or so, just enough to get him on the roster. And that was it, a plug-and-play addition for depth in the postseason. Now, if the Lakers do end up signing Marcus Smart, that essentially puts them back at square one. In terms of the roster count, you're still looking at 14 guys, so that 15th slot, it could remain open until the playoffs. That's just how the Lakers operate. But here's the interesting part. What if the move to cut Goodwin wasn't just about Smart? What if they know someone else is coming? What if there's already a plan in place to bring in another piece, and waiving Goodwin was just step one? There have been lots of trade rumors swirling around the Lakers. And sure, being in trade talks doesn't automatically mean a deal is going to happen. There's a huge difference between picking up the phone and actually signing on the dotted line. But the fact that they're actively involved in discussions means they're looking to upgrade. They're trying to shake things up, and anytime you're talking trades, especially the kind of deals the Lakers are rumored to be pursuing, you're often looking at sending out more players than you're getting back. That opens up more roster spots, creates cap space, and gives them flexibility to bring in the right players. And here's the thing with Jordan Goodwin. If you know you're going to part ways with him eventually, why not do it now? From a player's perspective, it's actually better. If they kept him all the way through January and then cut him, the options on the market would be slim. At that point, rosters are full and teams have already settled into their rotations. Waiving him now gives him a real shot to latch on somewhere else, possibly on a vet minimum. It's a move that respects the player. It gives him a fighting chance to catch on with another team, instead of sitting around hoping for a training camp invite down the road. If he stays unsigned until then, he might only walk away with a couple $100,000 guaranteed, and that's it. So while it stings a bit, because let's be honest, Jordan Goodwin has potential, and he showed flashes, it makes sense if this was the plan all along. You cut ties early, give the player a chance, and set yourself up for bigger moves. Speaking of bigger moves, there are still plenty of names floating around who could fill that gap. You've got guys like DeAnthony Melton, who was heavily linked to the Golden State Warriors just a week ago, and yet here we are, still no deal. What's the holdup? Could he be waiting on a Lakers offer that's not out of the realm of possibility? Al Horford is another name that was supposedly on the Warriors' radar, and again, nothing finalized. Same question, are they waiting for Los Angeles? Joshua Okogie is another option that's interesting. Even with Marcus Smart in the mix, Okogie could be a great fit. He's 6'5", has a 7-foot wingspan, and can guard 1 through 3. His perimeter defense is solid. And while there are definitely questions about his offense, that's not really a concern for the Lakers right now. They've got scoring. What they need is grit, defense, hustle, the kind of stuff Okogie brings every night. So yeah, even with Smart, there's a case to bring in a guy like that, especially when you consider the depth and matchup flexibility he'd give them. And beyond those names, there are still others. Jeremy Grant, Nikola Vucevic, guys who might become available maybe through a buyout situation. Even if that doesn't happen immediately, it's worth keeping an eye on. The Lakers could easily be playing the waiting game here, staying patient, seeing how the dust settles, and then making their move. Remember, they already used their biannual exception on Marcus Smart, so any other signings would have to be at the minimum or part of a trade exception, depending on how things play out. But even then, players might be willing to sign for less just to join this core to chase a ring. Amir Coffey is another name that's popped up, along with Blake Wesley, who was just let go by the Wizards. Wesley had a decent stretch toward the end of the season, shooting 37% from deep and showing some solid defensive instincts. If the Lakers want to take a flyer on a young guy, someone with upside who can grow in their system, that could be a sneaky smart move. You're not betting the season on him, but you're investing in a developmental piece who could give you minutes if needed. And let's not forget the G League pipeline. Cole Swider comes to mind, a guy with legitimate shooting touch who could be valuable, especially if the Lakers are looking to move someone like Dalton Knecht. That's been another big talking point, right? A possible trade involving Knecht. If that happens, you lose shooting. Swider could help make up for that even in limited minutes. There's also the Darius Bazley situation. We still don't have full clarity on what happened with him, but unless it's something serious, he's another versatile forward who could fill a role. If it's just a minor issue, maybe a strain or tweak, he could be good to go by training camp. Why not bring him in and see what he looks like in the preseason? The risk is low, and the upside is there. Same thing with Christian Koloko. If the Lakers are shopping Maxi Kleber, which is another rumor out there, it would make a lot of sense to bring in a guy like Koloko as a potential backup big. His size, his shot blocking, his defensive presence, it all fits. He's still raw, sure, but the tools are there. And again, you're talking about minimum deals at this point. These aren't splashy signings. These are calculated bets, and we haven't even touched on the possibility of an Andrew Wiggins trade. If something like that goes down, it could be a 3-for-1 swap. You'd be sending out multiple players and opening up multiple roster spots in return. Combine that with the Goodwin release and you're suddenly looking at needing to fill 2 or 3 slots. You get Koloko in there, but you still need bodies. So the Lakers are clearly keeping options open, and that flexibility could be key down the line. All this movement, all this positioning, it's like watching dominoes line up, just waiting for the first one to fall. Once it does, everything else starts to fall into place. You waive Shake Milton and Jordan Goodwin, that clears the way for Marcus Smart. You bring Smart in, now you have a clearer picture of your backcourt. Then depending on trades, you could have even more flexibility to work with. It's all interconnected. Every move sets up the next. But here's the catch. Marcus Smart can't officially sign until Wednesday. So between now and then, the front office has a few days to sort everything out. Line up the paperwork, evaluate the next steps. This isn't just throwing darts at a board. This is a carefully timed sequence of moves. And while it might look quiet on the outside, you can be sure Rob Pelinka and the front office are working the phones, looking at every possible angle. In an ideal world, you land someone like DeAnthony Melton. That's still my top choice. He brings defense, shooting experience, the whole package. And it's honestly puzzling that he hasn't signed yet. Is he holding out for more money? Is he waiting for the right opportunity? Or is he specifically holding out for the Lakers? Maybe, maybe not. But it's strange that a guy like that, even coming off injury, hasn't been picked up. You'd think someone like the Warriors would have sealed that deal already. Same goes for Al Horford. Now in his case, there's a bit more clarity. He just had a baby, and there are rumors that he's considering retirement. That would make sense. You want to take your time with a decision like that. Enjoy your family. Make sure the timing is right. No need to rush into another season unless your heart is fully in it. So Horford's situation feels a bit different, but for guys like Okogie, the story is different. He's young, he's got energy, he's a tough defender. Exactly the kind of role player the Lakers thrive with. And let's say he does shoot 38% from 3 like he did in Phoenix. Now we're talking about a major contributor. You throw him out there with Marcus Smart, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and suddenly you've got a defensive unit that can switch, disrupt, and run in transition. Plus, Smart shot 38% from deep last season too. If they can even be league average shooters, that opens up the floor in a big way. And you can't overlook how Luka fits into that equation either. One of the benefits of adding a player like Luka, and again this is all hypothetical but stick with me, is that he doesn't shy away from traffic in the paint. In fact, he prefers it. With LeBron and AD, teams would just pack the paint, forcing them to rely on outside shots or kickouts. Luka thrives in those clogged up situations. He creates space with his vision, draws defenders, and finds easy lobs or corner threes. It's a different dynamic that works in your favor, especially if you're surrounding him with capable defenders who can shoot just well enough to keep defenses honest. That's why even guys like Jared Vanderbilt become more valuable in that scenario. Sure, he's not a shooter, but he's no longer dragging the offense down as much because Luka changes the geometry of the floor. You're hoping Vando can get to league weaverage from the corner. That's all you really need. So yeah, the Lakers aren't just sitting back. There's strategy in every move. Whether it's waiving Goodwin now to do right by him or keeping an eye on undervalued assets like Swider, Bazley, or Koloko, it's all part of a bigger plan. The question now is how it all unfolds. Who do they bring in next? What trades are actually in play? How soon will we see the next domino fall? Picking up where we left off, the real intrigue lies in how the Lakers will handle their roster moving forward. The deadline for signing Marcus Smart is coming up, and once that happens, it triggers a chain reaction. Because signing Smart doesn't just fill a spot, it changes the entire dynamic of the team. Suddenly, the Lakers have a lockdown perimeter defender who can also facilitate offense. A guy with playoff experience who brings toughness and leadership. That alone could push the Lakers deeper into the title conversation, but it also means adjustments have to be made. They need to figure out how the rest of the bench pieces fit in around Smart and the star core of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That brings us back to the roster spot question. With Smart on board, the Lakers will still be hunting for that 15th player. But who they could choose to hold that spot open for buyout candidates late in the season, which is often the smartest move. The NBA buyout market has become a crucial tool for contenders. You keep that roster spot available so you can scoop up quality veterans looking for a shot at a championship. After their teams are out of playoff contention, it's low risk, high reward. On the other hand, the Lakers might decide to fill that spot right away with someone who fits their style and needs. Maybe it's a young player with upside or a veteran who can provide solid depth. That's why names like D'Anthony Melton, Blake Wesley, or Joshua Okogie keep coming up. Melton, for example, is known for his tenacious defense and improving three-point shot. If the Lakers could sign him, it would bolster their perimeter defense immensely, which is critical in a conference stacked with sharpshooters. But with Golden State reportedly interested, it's a tight race. Whoever signs him, it will be because that team believes Melton adds the missing piece to their defensive puzzle. Blake Wesley is an interesting option for a different reason. Young with length and energy, he's exactly the type of player who could thrive in the Lakers system if given the chance. His shooting percentages have been encouraging, and his defensive instincts make him a potential asset. Sometimes these under-threadar signings end up being the most impactful because they come with lower expectations, but a lot of heart. That's the kind of player the Lakers often need on the second unit. And then there's Joshua Okogie. He's almost like a prototype for what the Lakers want in a role player. Long, quick, and defensive-minded. He can switch on multiple positions and guard some of the toughest wings in the league. Sure, his offense isn't flashy, but with Smart handling playmaking duties and stars like LeBron and AD carrying scoring load, Okogie's job is to make life difficult for opposing scorers. His three-point shooting has improved, and if he can sustain that, he becomes a real weapon on both ends. If the Lakers want to get tougher defensively, Okogie fits perfectly. Meanwhile, the front office is juggling a lot behind the scenes. Trade talks are ongoing, and we've heard rumors of a 3-for-1 deal, which could involve sending Andrew Wiggins somewhere else. Wiggins has been a solid contributor for the Lakers, especially defensively, but his shooting and consistency have been questioned. If a trade happens that sends Wiggins out, the Lakers might receive multiple players back, which would shake up the roster and open up more spots to fill. This is why keeping roster flexibility is key. Waiving Jordan Goodwin early not only helps Goodwin get a fresh start, but also creates room for new additions, whether through trades, buyouts, or free agency. The Lakers are playing the long game, knowing that the roster they start training camp with might not be the roster that goes deep into the playoffs. Flexibility is the name of the game, especially with the way buyout market timing works. At the same time, there's an undeniable sense of urgency. The Western Conference has been brutal lately, and the Lakers need to maximize their window with LeBron and AD still near their peaks. That's why they're making these moves now rather than waiting until the last minute. Every addition has to count. Every roster spot must be optimized for winning. There's no room for dead weight or long-term projects that don't contribute immediately. But even as the Lakers try to finalize their roster, injuries always lurk in the background. Anthony Davis has battled injuries for years, and his health is always a factor in how deep the Lakers can go. Adding reliable, durable role players is a must to cover any potential gaps. That's another reason why bringing in veterans or experienced players via buyouts is smart. Those guys have playoff experience and know how to stay ready. Speaking of experienced players, like Al Horford have been mentioned. Horford is a veteran big man who still offers solid shooting and defensive versatility. But he's also at a point in his career where family and life decisions play a bigger role. If Horford decides to retire, it's understandable, but if he's available and interested, he could provide valuable front court depth behind Davis and whoever else is on the roster. His leadership alone would be a plus in the locker room. The Lakers might also look internally for hidden gems. Christian Koloko, for example, is a young big man who could be a sleeper pickup. His defensive presence and shot blocking could be just what the Lakers need as a backup center. While he's still developing, the upside is there and the cost is low. The same goes for Darius Bazley, whose status is a bit unclear, but who has shown flashes of versatility as a forward. Then there's the possibility of extending or adding players like Cole Swider, who's shown potential as a shooter. Given the Lakers' past struggles with spacing and outside shooting, someone like Swider could be a valuable bench asset if he can translate his G League success to the NBA floor. Amir Coffey is another name to watch. He's a role player who's demonstrated the ability to knock down threes and contribute on defense. Adding someone like Coffey could improve the depth of the wing rotation, giving the Lakers more options to rest their stars or switch defensive matchups. The next couple of weeks are going to be critical. Once Marcus Smart signs, the Lakers roster starts to take shape, but it's only the beginning. After that, the front office will likely continue monitoring the market for buyouts and trade opportunities. The buyout deadline usually passes in February or March, and that's when teams desperate for veterans open the floodgates. The Lakers want to be ready to pounce on any quality player who becomes available, so keeping roster space open is a strategic move. It's also worth noting that player buyouts aren't just about filling holes, they're about adding complementary skill sets. A player like Smart, for example, can guard multiple positions and create offense, but the Lakers might still want a specialist, maybe a shooter or a rim protector, to balance out the lineup. This approach of assembling a well-rounded roster is key in today's NBA, where matchups and versatility often determine playoff success. There's also the chemistry factor. The Lakers have a unique locker room culture, and adding players who fit that vibe is just as important as their own court skills. Veterans who have been through playoff runs or who know how to play within a team system tend to integrate better. That's why signing low-risk, high-reward players who buy into the Lakers' philosophy can be a smart move. Another element to consider is salary cap management. The Lakers have used their biennial exception on Marcus Smart, which limits their financial flexibility for additional signings. That means any other players they add will likely come at the veteran minimum or through trade exceptions. It requires careful planning to make sure the roster fits within the cap while still being competitive. Looking at the bigger picture, the Lakers seem committed to winning now. Their core stars aren't getting any younger, and the Western Conference is loaded with talent. Teams like the Warriors, Nuggets, and Mavericks all have strong lineups, so the margin for error is thin. The Lakers front office knows this and appears to be taking a proactive approach. In this context, waiving Jordan Goodwin early makes perfect sense. It's a move that opens flexibility, shows consideration for the player's career, and sets the stage for bigger, more impactful roster moves. While it might seem like a small transaction to some, it's actually a chess piece in a much larger game. Fans can expect a busy few weeks ahead. The Lakers will likely be active on multiple fronts: free agency, trades, buyouts, all with the goal of building the most competitive team possible around their stars. The pressure is on the front office to execute, and the decisions they make now will have ripple effects throughout the season. So whether the Lakers end up signing Melton Okogie Wesley or someone else entirely, the key takeaway is that they are playing a smart, patient game. They're keeping their options open, making calculated moves, and positioning themselves to add the right pieces at the right time. This is how contenders operate. This is how championship teams are built. Ultimately, the journey to a title is rarely smooth or straightforward. It requires adaptability, strategic thinking, and sometimes tough decisions, like parting ways with promising players early to make room for veterans who can help immediately. The Lakers seem to understand that, and their recent moves reflect a front office that's ready to do whatever it takes to compete at the highest level. As the clock ticks down to training camp and beyond, the story will continue to unfold. Fans and analysts will watch closely to see who the Lakers add, who they move, and how they navigate the complex landscape of the NBA roster. One thing is certain: the Lakers aren't standing still, and their next moves could be the difference between a good season and a championship run. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, in what could become one of the most talked about moves of the NBA offseason, whispers are swirling around the possibility that the Los Angeles Lakers are targeting all-star shooting guard DEMAR DEROZAN to bolster their perimeter attack. After years of trying to find the perfect complement for their superstar core, the Lakers might have finally found their man in DeRozan, whose scoring ability and veteran presence could provide the offensive spark and stability the team desperately needs. The Lakers, a franchise always under pressure to contend for the championship, have struggled to establish consistent perimeter shooting and scoring beyond their big men. In recent seasons, rumors suggest that management has been quietly working behind the scenes to explore trade options or free agent signings that would bring a dynamic guard with proven playoff experience into their fold. DeRozan's name has repeatedly come up in conversations given his reputation as a relentless scorer and his ability to take over games with his mid-range mastery and improved playmaking skills. Although nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders close to the team hint that the Lakers see DeRozan as a perfect fit for their current roster construction. His knack for creating his own shot and carrying offensive loads could relieve pressure on the likes of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, allowing the Lakers stars to conserve energy for crunch time moments. Additionally, DeRozan's experience in high-stakes playoff battles could provide the veteran leadership needed to guide a young supporting cast through the rigors of a deep postseason run. This potential acquisition also raises interesting questions about the Lakers' strategy moving forward. Are they ready to retool around a perimeter-oriented offensive scheme? Could DeRozan's style of play mesh well with the Lakers' current defensive setups? Fans and analysts alike are eager to see how this possibility unfolds, especially considering how much the franchise has invested in surrounding LeBron and AD with reliable scorers and facilitators. Critics point out that DeRozan is not known as a prolific three-point shooter, which might be a concern in today's NBA where spacing and long-range shooting dominate. However, his ability to penetrate defenses, draw fouls, and hit clutch mid-range shots could offset that perceived weakness. Moreover, pairing him with shooters already on the Lakers roster might create a balanced offensive attack that is hard to guard. While the Lakers have yet to make an official announcement, the buzz surrounding DeRozan's potential arrival is growing louder by the day. If this rumor turns into reality, it could signal a new chapter for the Lakers as they look to reassert themselves as championship contenders. For now, all eyes remain on Los Angeles as fans speculate on what might just be the blockbuster move of the offseason. Stay tuned as this story develops. DeRozan to the Lakers could be the game changer everyone has been waiting for. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.